Hey guys, Papa Pete back with another pickup video. Today's video is dedicated to my Xbox Original Collection. I've been working on that collection for about a year and a half now, and I managed to find some great pickups over the last couple weeks. Anyway, I can't wait to show you what I got, so stick around.
Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. If you haven't grown up by the age of 50, you don't have to.
Let's start today's video off with another great local beer, and today's beer is going to be from Pump House Brewing in Moncton, New Brunswick. Blueberry Ale. This is probably one of their most famous beer that they produce. They're actually one of the older craft breweries in New Brunswick. They've been around for quite a few years. I'm sort of surprised I haven't had one of theirs yet during one of my videos, but I used to really love this Blueberry Ale, so I haven't had one in quite a while. Let's take a look. That's a nice looking clear ale, and you know what? Blueberry Ale needs a few blueberries in it. I've heard people say don't put fruit in your beer, but you know, oranges, blueberries, pineapple, whatever, depending on the different kinds of beer. I love all kinds of different beer, and if it takes it, it takes it. And in the summertime, this is actually really good because you should put frozen blueberries in it. It keeps it nice and cold. Anyway. Oh, that's excellent. Right on. Before I get to the games, I have one other pickup I want to show you, and I got a copy of Joker. I have not seen this movie yet. I just picked it up the other day. It's just come out. I don't know when I'll get this up posted, but it's just come out this week. I picked it up. I've seen so many great things about it. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix is a bit of an odd duck, in my opinion. He's had a lot of controversy throughout his career, but what a great job he did winning the Golden Globe. And it's just becoming an iconic movie, sort of depressing yet totally enthralling at the same time. I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. Just so out of the norm for your typical superhero movie, even though I know this is a super villain. And it's good to see DC, who I liked the best when I was a kid, come out with something so prominent like this in the wake of all the great Marvel success. Anyway, Joker, so happy to pick that up. Can't wait to watch it. And now on to the games. The first games I picked up were actually from a Facebook post. I don't see many original Xbox around here on Facebook very often. It's a pretty small area, and they just don't seem to be that prominent. You see a lot of Xbox 360, a lot of the newest systems as well, and they want a pretty penny for them. Well, these ones were on there. They had 10 different games, and there's actually 5 of them that I didn't have, so I was really surprised. And they were like $2 each, so I was really happy to pick them up. And the first one is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Island Thunder. And I said in one of my videos a little while back, I picked up all the Tom Clancy games so I wouldn't have to look at them again. But what I didn't have was this in the black box. This specific one, I only had the Platinum Hits version. So I just wanted to pick this one up, put it in my collection to replace that. Well, not replace. I'm going to collect the Platinum Hits ones as well, but I really would like to have the black box versions first. And anyway, they are great games. I mean, there's umpteen of them out there. I've played them some, but not all that much. And but they're just great games, and it's such a prominent series that you have to collect them. So great to add to the collection and get the black box version. The next game I picked up is a really famous video game series, which they turned around and made into some movie. Spy Hunter, Nowhere to Run. So this is sort of like a shooting racing game that is not only built upon the Spy Hunter video game, but the Spy Hunter movie. So it's almost like a crossover between the two. It's kind of weird when you have a video game made about a movie that is made about a video game. But anyway, it's got The Rock in it. How do you beat that? Rock Johnson. You gotta like The Rock in whatever he does. I mean, anybody can go from the wrestling like he did, performing the way he did. I remember when he came up as Rocky Maivia, and believe me, people didn't like him, and he wasn't all that entertaining. He really found his own later on. But anyway, great Midway classic, Spy Hunter, Nowhere to Run. Glad to add it to my collection. The next game I have is a movie remake, which I don't really know if they needed to make it, but it really was pretty good. I did enjoy it. And this is the video game from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was brought up on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder and the old Oompa Loompas, and I just have a hard time with some of these remakes. Now, Johnny Depp did do a good job, but it wasn't quite the same. He played it more as a freakish character, I found, than Gene Wilder did originally, and of course, and I just love Gene Wilder. Movie-wise, entertaining, yes. The video game, it's just sort of like a puzzle adventure game, platformer a little bit, where you're trying to solve puzzles that open up different areas in the factory. And it really didn't get a very high rating, but this one's in great condition. Really happy to have it. And hey, I needed it for the collection. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, the next game I had seen before, but I had never really looked into it to see exactly what it was. And it's RLH, Hunt or Be Hunted, Run Like Hell. And it's about being in a space station battling aliens. And what does that seem to be ripping off quite a bit? An alien, yeah. But it's more like aliens, and you know what I find even more interesting? It's a third-person shooter, but Lance Henriksen does one of the voices in this, and Lance Henriksen was actually in Aliens as Bishop. So, a lot of tie-ins to Aliens there. It's a moderate rated game. Not a great game, but not a bad game by any stretch. And if you like games in space where you're going through the dark trying to battle aliens and keep from getting killed, well, this might be just the one for you. And to be quite honest, it was in absolutely fantastic shape with a big, thick manual. And I was just surprised to get it in this condition off Facebook. The last game that I got from that Facebook post was Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. This, again, is not a highly rated game, but it's not a poorly rated game either. It's sort of like middle of the road. It's an adventurer, platformer a little bit. Wallace and Gromit were claymation stories that were made back, I think, in the 90s. Because I can remember they had different movies out. And the movies were actually really highly rated movies. So, of course, they expanded them a little bit, and they got into some video games. There's 2 or 3 different video games out, Wallace and Gromit. And I just find this type of claymation really interesting. There's different movies like Chicken Run, and there's games for that and stuff. But this was sort of the cream of the crop right here. Wallace and Gromit were a lot of fun for the kids, but the adults could enjoy it as well. Anyway, this one's in great condition. So happy to add it to my collection. Now, the next wave of games came from Beats and Bytes in St. John, New Brunswick. But I've talked about being at Beats and Bytes before. I normally go to the one that's on the east side, and this is the one that's over in the northwest end. So there's 2 different Beats and Bytes in town. They're related, of course, but I usually don't get over to this one. So I had an opportunity to stop the other day at one of them, and I said, let's go to the other one I never go to. I haven't been there in a long time, and I was pretty happy I did, because they have the same deals. You get 5, you get 20% off. But at the same time, I always ask for a little bit better deal too. And in this case, they looked at the games. These Xbox original games may not be selling like right off hot off the shelves all the time. So you get pretty good deals if you ask for them. And the first game I got was Motor Trend presents Lotus Challenge. Standard racing game. The only thing special about this one is just that it has a Lotus. It's super sports cars, and I really don't know what differentiates this game through all the other racing games you play around, but it just looks pretty standard, really. I don't know. It's kind of like Outrun or Burnout or something like that, and I don't know. It'd be good. I'll have to check it out. The next game I picked up from Beats and Bytes is Mojo. And I wasn't familiar at all with this game. I really hadn't looked at it very much. And I got reading a bit about it. I hadn't played it before. It's kind of like a Marble Madness type maze game where you're trying to roll a marble through a different area, knocking down targets or hitting creatures or something like that. And that really piques my interest because I love Marble Madness. I think it's one of my favorite games when I was a kid with the trackball, the arcade, and then even on the NES, it was a lot of fun. I never was very good at it because it's difficult, but I did find it to be a really enjoyable game. So this one, great shape, puzzler, got it really cheap, like $3. So hey, Mojo, can't beat that. The next game is one of the most important games I've ever gotten before, and it is Madden No. 8. Why Madden No. 8? Because this is the last Madden game that I needed for the system. I always loved crossing that last one off the list, like all the NASCAR games I have, all the Star Wars games I have, and I don't get too excited over Madden's. 09 was a special game. That's quite the expensive game, actually, where it's the last one out of the system. But this, Madden 08, was the last Madden game I needed. So again, it's kind of like the Tom Clancy. These are no platinum hits. These are all originals, so I don't have to look for Madden games anymore. Don't get me wrong, I do love the Madden franchise. I think it's a great football game, but there's one out every year. There's not significant differences between them, maybe if you jump a few years ahead. And if you have one, you know, unless you're a huge fan, that's probably going to do you. But in this case, where I'm trying to collect the whole setup, I was really happy to finally add the last Madden game to my collection. Now, the next game I picked up is a franchise that continues on to this day, and that's the Far Cry franchise and Far Cry Instincts. It is a first-person shooter adventure type game, and this is actually an Xbox exclusive. This one's right there, only on Xbox. I think some of the other ones were by Ubisoft. And I have to say, I've only played one of the Far Cry games, and it was one of the newer ones. I can't even remember which one it was. I think it was Far Cry 4 on the PS4 or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to go back and check this one out, because if you can step back the graphics a little bit and just get that into your mind, that it doesn't bother you, there's a lot of great gameplay to be had of the older versions of the same game, of the same franchise. So I'm looking forward very much to playing this. Far Cry Instincts. Almost getting to the end here. This is one that I had not seen very much. It's just a platformer, but it's not all that common. And this one's in great shape. The acclaimed game, Vex. Again, it's a platformer, jumping around, third person, and just, I don't know, just a generally moderate rated game. It's got like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 from most on average back in the day. And the weapon is sort of different because they don't have shooting weapons. They don't have a sword or something like that. They actually have these claws that are on the gloves that he wears. So it's something sort of different. I got to check it out because it's sort of a different type of gameplay. Again, not a super highly rated game, but still nice and solid. Vex. I'm finally down to the last game that I picked up for Beats and Bytes, and that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds. I have the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I was really happy to pick it up, and I've been watching for this one ever since. But it seemed whenever I found it, it would be only in fair shape at best, and it would never have the manual. Well, this one is in great shape, has the manual, the disc looks good, and it's, again, a third-person adventure game. This one actually expanded upon the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer because it brought in multiplayer games and also allowed you to play characters other than Buffy. And in the single-player mode, you start off with 4 different characters you can play, and there's several that you can unlock. And there's one area that you play in, and there's also several other areas that you can unlock by playing the single-player game. To tell you the truth, it doesn't seem to have as good a ratings as the original game, but it's still solid. It's a good title. And it's been sort of surprising because I can remember reading several years ago about the different games in the system, things that I was never a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan back when I was probably in my 30s when it was on, but it's a solid show because people love it. It's managed to carry on. People want to see it come back. And the video games are surprisingly strong. So I was really happy to finally add the second Buffy the Vampire Slayer game into my collection. Right on. Well, guys, that's it for this round of pickups. What a great bunch of games off Facebook, for Beats and Bytes, not to mention the Joker. I can't wait to watch the Joker. Man, I'm not quite to that 500 yet, but it's getting closer all the time. Won't be very long, and I'll finally get that 500th game. And then I'll be going for 600. Anyway, guys, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time when I get some more pickups. Take care.
Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. If you haven't grown.
Hello, Dali Popka here, and you're watching Papa Pete, the old guy gamer.
What the hell?